Live. Okay. Hang on. What's your Instagram?
Coach Neil 1476.
Coach Neil. What is it?
1476.
1476. All right, friends. I'm here with my coach, personal trainer, therapist, everything all in one. And we're gonna answer some questions that we posted. I just tagged his IG handle in the comment section. So if you guys don't get your question answered, or you still have more questions, or you're just curious what Neil can offer for you, feel free to click his IG. That should be linked right at the bottom, and send him a DM. So
Thank
this
you.
is Neil.
Hello. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
You, happy birthday.
Oh, yes.
Hey.
Dirty 30. No other place I'd want to spend it than Treehouse.
Yes. First question is actually going to be for you.
Ooh.
And then I'm going to pass the phone over
Okay.
after.
All right.
Let's see. We'll start with this because you've worked your way back. How did you handle weight regain? You know, kind of from what I remember, you told me the story, you gained some weight back before we met.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning of you starting where you're at now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a little bit.
So last year in 2019, like a lot of people know, I lost 130 pounds. And I was doing really good, going strong, consistent. However, I wasn't really eating healthy. I was very, very low in calories, focusing on little to no carbs, not taking care of my body properly. I was working 80 hours a week. I wasn't sleeping and all that jazz. And then towards the end of 2019, I just had some life changes and kind of put my weight loss journey on the back burner. Next thing I knew, it was COVID, and next thing you knew, I was stepping on a scale, and I was up 89 pounds from my lowest weight. And the first thing I did was deactivate my Instagram, because I was embarrassed, and I definitely took a mental check. I didn't want to lie about it. I didn't want to hide about it. It was real. If I can gain the weight back, anybody can gain the weight back. I knew that people were going to be able to relate. So I came back on IG. I got honest. I posted, I believe, a scale picture that had my current weight on it. And I knew that I had done it before, and I knew I could do it again. I just knew that I needed proper help this time. And then that's when I posted on Facebook, anyone in the North Shore area, know of any gyms or trainers. And then my cousin Katie tagged Neil.
Katie.
Shout out to Katie. Where the hell you been, girl? And it was history since then.
History. So this was a two-part question too.
All right.
How did you get back at it? What changes happened to bring you in when we started talking? Like once I reached out and I told you, hey.
Yeah, I think showing up to the gym was the first thing for me. Katie actually had an appointment with you right before me. So
yeah.
I knew I couldn't back out. I knew that Katie was going to be here and Caitlin's on her way. So, and I think just coming in, and I believe there was a class going on when I came in, and just seeing people working out and seeing how strong there was. And I think I even pointed out a woman that was working out, and I was like, she looks badass. Like whatever that move is she's doing over there with that bar, like that looks badass. Like I want to do that. And yes.
Shout out to Sandy.
And it's just, I don't know, it was very intimidating coming into this kind of gym. Treehouse is not a Planet Fitness or Anytime Fitness. It's not like a gimmicky gym. It's what I consider, me and Katie had this conversation the other day, it's like a training gym.
Training facility.
Like, used to be a lot of CrossFit, but kind of is, kind of not, kind of whatever you need to do, you can get done here, I feel. And, it's been great.
Yeah. How do you get started when you're obese and you've never worked out before? And usually whenever I take on a new client, I go through a pretty lengthy assessment period. We do an initial consultation, which is just a 60 to 90 minute conversation, and then a physical movement screen. one of the challenges is when you're obese, sometimes movement in general is very difficult. So we needed to get creative and see how you moved, see what your limitations were, but really not push anything. Your favorite movement is the sled, but that came about because Caitlyn was at a weight where some cardio equipment that we have in the gym wasn't going to cut it. And I know walking on a treadmill is great, but you don't want to be doing that all day, every day. So sled push, that was where to start.
And it's important to keep excitement in the workouts. Like Neil just said, like, I am not ready for the assault bike yet. I think weight-wise, I can get on the rower, but I don't think it will be very comfortable.
Yeah.
And like he said, the treadmill, like, it's great. People have great success. But for me, I need to be excited to work out. And I know I talk a lot of shit about the sled and that I hate the sled, but I truly have, like, a love-hate relationship with the sled. And I love putting the weight on it. Like, grabbing the 245 plates and the 225 plates. And, like, I'm going to push this bitch. Like, let's go. And, you know, we have fun days, too, where people are just hopping on the sled as I'm pushing it. And
shout out to Mel.
You definitely have to keep it exciting. And I think another key point with that is, despite not being able to use the bike and stuff yet, there's still stuff that I am capable of doing. And there's stuff that anybody can do. It just might not look like what the average person in the gym is doing.
Yeah, and that's okay, because a lot of what the assessments and the consultations are for is really making customized fitness per client, and that's been the number one focus for you and I, you know. So, like, for you, the sled, that is cardio. It's strength, it's hard work, but it's very repeatable for you. You can come in every day and push it. The sled's over there, that's why I'm pointing.
And we switch it up too, like he just said, cardio and strength. On my condition days, the sled is lighter, and I definitely have more reps going up and down, where yesterday was a strength day, and we loaded it up with weight, and, you know, I pushed it down and back, and then took a break for a few minutes, and then pushed it down and back, took a break for a few minutes. So despite it still being the sled, you can get different things out of it, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. How do you feel today?
Good. I didn't get the sled today.
Yeah, yesterday.
I did have it yesterday, and it was heavy. It was 190.
Crushed it.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a question about macros, and just to preface this whole thing.
What is a macro, Neil?
So you have macronutrients and you have micronutrients. Macros, they break down and make calories, where micronutrients, that's your vitamins, minerals, they don't amount to calories. So you have your main three. You have fats, carbs, and protein. Fats are a little more expensive. Per gram, it's 9 calories, and carbs and protein, it's 4. So depending on the split that you have, it adds up to your total calories for the day. And with that, it depends. You're gonna hear it depends a lot. Like I mentioned with Caitlyn, she has a very custom plan. We have a ton of questions about macros and what do we do macros for weight loss? Many forms of that question ultimately, and it depends. In this one in particular, it's macro breakdown in combination with workout intensity and frequency. Depends. To get more specific on that, I would take a look at where you're starting. What are you doing right now for exercise? Have you, especially because of COVID, have you been in the house for, what are we going on, 9 months?
Yeah.
8 or 9 months? What have you done for exercise in the past couple years? How intense was that? Was it a cardio routine? That's a very common thing that I come up across is, oh yeah, I work out, what do you do? Cardio. Have you ever lifted weights? Nope. And that's okay. But that dictates a very different starting point per individual. And the same goes out for macros. Well, where are you eating right now? And I'll use you for an example. When you lost all that weight, you were on a 1,200 calorie diet. And then when we met, it was around 15 to 16. So I had her calculations very, like, comically high, Because it's based on the current weight that you're at. And if you are a heavier body, but you're eating 12,000 calories, there's a massive deficit there. Your body's pretty much going to be in starvation mode, or already is. And that's when you get questions about like, how do you beat a weight loss stall? We'll loop back on that because it's a specific question.
Yeah.
So macro breakdown is, the way I would do it is I meet the person where they're at and slowly build up over time, because it can be a massive shock to your system being like, hey, you should be eating 2,000 calories a day, but you're only eating 12. Not only is that a whole bunch of food to eat, it's probably going to freak you out.
Which I think the key word in that too is gradually and taking it slow.
Yep.
I know I feel like I'm eating a ton of carbs a day, and I also know that I'm not where Neil wants me at. But I was honest with Neil in the beginning, and I told him like I was eating such little carbs, and now this number that you just gave me seems impossible. Let's do it little by little. And I think we've been going up about 10, 15 grams every couple weeks.
Yep.
And it's mentally, that's how I need to do it.
Yeah.
And it's working, so.
And that's the key, is what is working, how are we measuring it, and how do you feel? Whenever you have a question of like, oh, am I eating too much? I have a whole list of checklists that we go through. How are you feeling? How are you sleeping? Have you been hungry? One of the last changes that we made was because you expressed like, I'm feeling really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on off the food end was we started new strength training. You've seen the videos. She's doing heavier squatting, heavier sled pushes. We moved into trap bar deadlifting. So that hunger that she was feeling, let's just call it out of nowhere, because you had your exercise routine and you were good, you needed more food to view it as fuel. She needed more to support this. And that was one of the conversations we always come back to is food, you have to eat for the rest of your life. So you need to view it as fuel for performance, how you feel, not just through a weight loss lens.
Yeah.
Losing weight is a process, but if it's successful, eventually you've lost the weight. Well, now what? You have to know how to fuel your body, know how to move, and hopefully you've moved down the wellness scale.
Yeah. And I definitely think going more on like looking at food as fuel, for me, that has meant looking at quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I was eating a whole bag of frozen rice cauliflower because I thought that was the healthy way, and I got to have a whole bag of it where I can now have a serving of brown rice and get what I need out of it and enjoy it. And like everyone knows, like I'm probably made out of like 90% cauliflower rice and mashed cauliflower. But at the end of the day, like brown rice tastes so much better. And I'm so excited that, I've been able to see, the quantity is a lot different, but the quality of that brown rice
and you
is
feel
fuel.
good.
Yeah.
You feel good. You're able to come in here 6 days a week, perform, get better, and the weight's still going down.
Yep.
So let that be proof that carbs are not bad.
No.
Carbs are not bad. Too many carbs could be bad.
Yeah.
But you can't.
And the kind of carbs. I think it's important to hit on complex carbs and simple carbs.
And even to just bring that back a little more, is it a whole food? Is it quality food? Is it carbs through a product that has a whole bunch of different flours in it, or is it sweet potatoes? Your body knows what to do with an apple, banana, sweet potato, but when you bring something in that's packaged, it doesn't always know.
Yep.
So yeah, I hope that was a long answer to that question. We'll loop back around on macros many times, but I hope that was good.
Macros.
This one is, how do you get a good workout inside of an apartment during COVID and winter? So winter is coming.
Ooh.
Hey. There's a lot of ways. So think, what do you have to work with? Do you have any exercise equipment? There's so many things you can do and use, whether it's like legitimate dumbbells, bands, or my wife and I, we made heavy sandbags. We literally got 3 laundry bags, dumped a bunch of sand in it, and we throw that around a little bit.
Shout out to Lexi.
Shout out to Lexi. There is so much to do. I would need a conversation with you of what you have, but to leave you with something to work with, think about movement patterns. You know, we squat. You're bringing your body mass to the floor. You're doing, in daily life, you bend a lot. So think about what bending patterns look like. Pushing and pulling, whether, you know, it doesn't have to be pushing a barbell or something over your head, but you can be trying to put something up on a shelf, pulling. Like, what do you do in daily life where you're pulling things? Like, you're pulling laundry out of a dryer.
Yep.
It's not a loaded movement necessarily, but you can work these different patterns with different loads, with different things available to you.
I think too, like, I notice myself now too, like in the house, is just watching my form on how I'm doing certain things.
Yep.
When I have to get something out of the bottom cabinet, how am I hinging? How am I squatting down to get that pot or pan out and things like that. And even like sitting on these boxes, I was just thinking like when I do box squats, that's probably like pretty similar to like a kitchen chair.
Yeah.
And like you can do squats on your kitchen chair and things like that. Or even like sitting on the couch, standing up, sitting on the couch, standing up, sitting on like sit to stands and stuff like that. I mean,
absolutely.
There's definitely, I know in my apartment I have a set of stairs.
Yeah.
So just going up and down the stairs and things like that.
Yeah. And if it's cold out, you should still go outside.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's snowy and raining, once we do enter into full winter, I don't know where you live, what kind of winter you have, but just getting outside and going for a walk, being out in the fresh air, that does a lot. Mm-hmm. It does a lot.
For your mental health too.
Yeah.
Which I think is important in one of the first conversations me and Neil have. Like, this is so much more than what I'm eating and how I'm moving. Mm-hmm. It's, like Neil said earlier, my energy, my stress, my sleep, my mental health, and things like that, and it all comes together as one.
Well,
yes, wellness.
Cool. For the person who asked about the workouts for inside in winter, if you want to message me, it's all good. So we can go.
His handle
we can go a
is
little
tagged
deeper.
in the bottom.
Wherever that is. Tips for losing lower belly fat. Also, Caitlyn, you're doing awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So the upsetting answer for this is you can't really spot reduce any particular fat. What you can do is work out a balanced diet and move, just exercise. You can train around the area. That won't make fat from that particular area decrease, but you will still grow muscle underneath it and develop. But as far as like particular fat in an area, the body's gonna lose fat where it wants to. We can't really control that, you know, and everyone is different. Like specifically for guys like to hold a lot of weight at stomach, chest. For ladies, sometimes it's always legs and butt, but everyone's different, and when it wants to come off, it's gonna come off.
I think staying consistent and
consistency is a big tool in having just the overall body fat percentage come down.
Yeah.
And that will show itself in different ways. What can a personal trainer help me with?
Everything.
Yeah. So this question, it depends. Not all personal trainers are created equal. Sorry for some of the
I got the best.
personal trainers. Yeah, she got the best. So a personal trainer is going to show you how to work out, do exercise safely, put you through a plan and all that. I'm a personal trainer, but I also like to really put focus on coaching. What are you doing outside of the gym? What lifestyle behaviors are you doing well, or are you doing poorly? those make a huge difference in your success for whatever goal it is. It could be weight loss, it could be muscle gain, it could just be you feel like shit all the time and you want to feel good, and there's no scale associated with it. We always take a look at what's going on outside. How are you sleeping? What's your stress level like? Are you drinking enough water? Are you chewing your food? I don't chew my food. I'm like, and that's, yeah. My downfall is I just want to eat really quick and move on.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, that makes a very big difference in your digestion. There's so many factors that need to be coached along with just putting someone through a workout. Even on the food end, you know, not just, hey, these are your macros, go eat them. Are you eating diet foods? Things that are just really low calorie, but they're kind of shitty. Are you eating whole foods? Do you even know what whole foods are? Does that require a session to talk about it? You know, so with me in particular, it's not just exercising. It's an individual design geared towards where the client is today. Exercise, I'm not going to give you some outrageous thing that you can't perform. I'd like you to be...
It looks like it.
It looks like
it. It looks like it. So we use an app called True Coach, and that's how I see like my programmed exercises for the week. And like when I first look at them, I'm like, 10 minutes, bro. Like that. But like, I also know that Neil's not going to give me something that I can't do. So...
we started out.
We started out at
6 minutes.
6. Yep.
Then we did a full week of 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first couple weeks we stayed at 6.
Yeah.
Then 7.
Mm-hmm.
Then 8. Then 9.
Now we're at 10.
Now we're at 10. So it's always challenging, but it's supposed to be doable so you can succeed. I'm not trying to crush Caitlyn in her workouts. I want to challenge her, and I want her to feel like she's getting better. And in some days, not even. It's just, today is just an easy day, go through the motions.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things that we do. But the big thing is the coaching is geared towards her, and anyone that I would work with, or I think a good coach / personal trainer should provide a well-rounded picture around lifestyle, not just exercise. There's so many things you have to look at that contribute to what you're doing on the exercise floor, but also how you feel after.
Mm-hmm.
You know, recovery or just, you know, mental state in general.
Which a lot of you know, I wouldn't even call it a stall, but I've been at the same weight for about a week. Yeah. Yep. About a week. And me and Neil sat down yesterday and we talked about it, and more carbs are coming my way.
A little bit.
But one of the things that we talked about was Polly. A lot of you guys know Polly started school this week, and that has been a huge stressor for me, and stress plays a part in it. So it's just, you know what I mean? I can sit here and be like, did I not go hard enough in the gym? Did I eat too many pitos? Like, at the end of the day, I am going through something very stressful right now. My nonverbal son is going to school, and I just gotta go through with the motions, and I'm talking to Neil about it, and you know what I mean?
It's a very important conversation to have. Can I use the sleep example?
Yes.
Okay. So another question was, how are you sleeping? She's like, good, I get 7 to 8 hours. And I'm like, all right, cool, walk me through what sleep is like. And because I spy on her Instagram, I found out that, you know, there's some pedos in bed and a little too much Netflix and chill. And 7 to 8 hours was realistically 6 to 7 hours. And she's working really hard in the gym. So much now where she hasn't really had much soreness in her body, but the new strength training a couple days a week, we're noticing like, okay, she's getting sore. Mm-hmm. Not crushed, but it's definitely a difference from you were sailing and now we hit a point where we're challenging you a bit, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have to make sure you're getting enough sleep, because that contributes to progress, recovery, weight loss, making sure that your body has a good balance of everything. And it came down to a conversation about sleep. Too much power?
Power, yes.
You know, too many episodes of Power.
Tommy Egan, what up?
So.
But I will say, I turned my TV off at 10 o'clock last night.
What's up?
So, and what?
Yeah. So that's just an example of some of the conversations that we have. Coaching, personal training, you have in regards to, you know, just general lifestyle. Hey, this thing is going on in my life. Why am I not losing weight?
Mm-hmm.
How come I can't push more weight on the bar or sled or whatever? There's certain factors that don't have to do with the floor.
Yep.
That it could come from. Thank you for that question. That's a good one. How should we figure out our macros? Please explain simply, as I know nothing about macros. Depends. Depends. Where are you at now? There's many different macro profiles that you can go through. There's the 50, 30, 20. I don't know what keto would go out to be as far as percentage, but I know that's generally very high fat, moderate protein, super low carb.
Yeah.
Low carb can be as low as like 20 to 60 grams of carbs a day. I find that horrific, but each their own. For me, and what I generally start my clients with would, if we're going to macros first, which isn't always the case, I like to just keep it balanced, like 30, 30, 35. No, sorry, 35, 35, 30.
Yeah.
Of fats, carbs, and proteins. That can be a big shift for someone who has been on keto.
Mm-hmm.
That can be not only terrifying, but a complete switch up of their system. So I would need some background information on where you're at, what you've been eating, how you've been feeling on the current diet, calorie base, all that. But even, and most importantly, before macros, I would want to know what you've been doing food-wise. You know, what's the quality been like? Have you been eating diet foods like I brought up? Do you drink diet Snapple like 3 times a day? It's not awesome for you, but there's no calories. So how do you feel about that? You know, there's so much to that conversation. So reach out.
Yes.
We'll talk. First workouts for obese clients. Do you just start walking or get into weights? Helps on the way. Just start walking.
Yes. I had someone message me not too long ago and they said, I don't know how you do it. All I can do is 5 minutes of walking. And my response was, 5 minutes of walking is amazing. First of all, good for you. Maybe next week, aim for 6.
Yep.
And just take it a little bit. Listen to your body is huge, especially when you're my size or around my size or whatever. If you're morbidly obese, you need to listen to your body. My biggest fear coming in here, and I was very upfront with Neil, is I do not want to hurt myself, which I think is extremely important in getting a personal trainer. I'm not saying it's mandatory and you need to, but being someone obese, and as obese as I am, I need to work with a trainer so I don't hurt myself.
Yeah, and that's something a personal trainer should take very seriously. That's why, personally, I go through a lengthy assessment, verbally, physically, and dealing with a client that is obese. I can't do a normal assessment. That's also a very custom thing. I had you doing weird moves just to see, because I know you mentioned, like, I don't want to get on the ground or come up and down.
Yeah, if I'm going to do floor stuff, let's stay on the floor.
Yep.
But once I'm back up, we're done.
And in the beginning, we didn't even need that.
No, yeah.
You know, and just for an example, when we talk about bending down, hinging patterns, I know a lot of people may not know what hinging is. It's just bending at the waist. You can have an issue if there's a lot of belly fat here. Bending may not be comfortable, or the weight or whatever object you're picking out is going to be too far out in front of you. So we needed to find a way to train bending while dealing with that.
And modifying is 100% okay.
Yes.
I will say I carry all my weight in my stomach. There's no hiding that. When we started with the kettlebell deadlifting, I was almost like a little embarrassed that we had to put them on boxes. But it's like, Caitlyn, you're getting it done. Like, you're not using the fact that you can't pick them up off the floor as an excuse.
Yep.
You're working with Neil, who suggested, let's put them up on boxes. And eventually, the boxes are going to turn into plates. And then eventually, they're going to be on the ground. And that's okay. And I don't think anyone should ever be embarrassed or think that they're not working as hard as the person who necessarily might not need the boxes. But I think it's really important to modify when you need to modify.
And I know when people hear modify, they take it negatively. So I know if you feel that way, you feel that way. But think of it as a progression.
Yeah.
So if we do take that bending piece, we started out slamming a med ball on the ground. Because that was a bend. The force was coming from the waist. And then we moved to, like Caitlyn said, 2 kettlebells on boxes that brought the floor up. You know, so it was easy. And now she's in a trap bar.
Yeah.
Slightly raised off the
slightly
floor.
raised. And even another example that you can hop right on my wall and see, when I started the safety bar squats, I had a larger plate on top of the box that I was getting my depth down into. And just yesterday, we switched that plate out for a thinner plate. And I think tomorrow, the goal is to take the plate out, lower the weight, but take the plate out so I can focus on getting down all the way to the box and then slowly building that weight back up, which is important. And again, I would never think to do that without a personal trainer's input. Yeah,
and these are all just tools to like really customize this per client. You know, you can give someone the same exercise, same everything, but the approach and intent is customized per individual. And that's very important to me and also for clients to hopefully trust their trainer to do that. But yes, walk as much as you can. And again, don't worry if it is only 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes next time. Like a 30 seconds progression is perfect. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has a different speed, a different starting point, and you eventually make your way to weights. And weights doesn't necessarily mean, weights can be anything. It could be a backpack filled with books. You know, that was the popular thing during COVID, when lockdown was heavy in April. You know, we didn't have a lot of weights at our house, and it was a heavy ruck, backpack with any weight. So just start walking, try to find some sort of routine that you can commit to, and don't worry about biting off too much in the beginning. Most people, when they start, are very eager to get after it, and that's awesome. But give yourself time to progress and get there. But doing something is better than doing nothing and overthinking it, which I'm guilty of that myself.
Yeah, and
that doesn't go away.
That's something me and Katie have been saying to each other when we're in the gym. When me and Katie work out together, sometimes there's a little bit more like hanging out and chilling and talking shit than actual like working out, and we'll both look at our watches and we'll be like, oh, calories aren't that great for today, took too many breaks. But we burnt more calories than if we had stayed home on our couch. And like some days that's the attitude I need to have. So you're lapping everybody sitting on the couch.
Yep. You show up and you do what you can. That's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Diet macros. I've been keto, but I'm interested in what he's got you doing. So we know keto is generally very low carb, high fat, moderate protein. You've never told me that you've been keto.
I've never been keto.
Yeah.
I've never considered myself keto. The joke on Instagram with a lot of people is when I first came into the weight loss community on Instagram, I was pronouncing it keto.
Keto.
Because I didn't even know what ketosis was. So I didn't even know that keto came from that word.
Yep.
So I pronounced it keto. I believe keto is under 20 or 25 grams of carbs.
Roughly.
I was sitting around 40 to 60.
Yeah.
So I wasn't keto, but I was still extremely low carb.
Yep. You were on a low carb diet.
Yeah.
And I do want to say every diet will work. You know, it comes down to a conversation about consistency, what you can maintain. And this is one of the first things I told Caitlyn when we started working together was, you're going to be alive for a long time. How do you want to eat for the rest of your life? If you're not going to commit to keto forever or for a very long period of time, there is a question of, well, what happens when I stop?
You gain 89 pounds.
Yes. There's a chance you could gain a lot of weight back. That's the same for high carb, low fat diets. You know, it depends on the body, but something you can do consistently mixed with exercise and a conversation, which I don't even really want to get into right now, but like the calories in, calories out conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How does it affect you consistently over time forever? So what Caitlyn and I do is balanced diet, you know?
Yeah.
I like to keep her protein. It's not nearly where I wanted to have it, but that's
We're
a
getting
different
there,
story.
Neil. Baby steps.
Yes. I personally like a little bit of a higher protein diet because if you're weight training and you're trying to keep muscle, and higher protein diets is great for muscle. And the more muscle you have, the more fat you will burn because you are expending more energy trying to keep that muscle.
Can we time out for a second? Because I've been getting a lot of comments on my posts with the weightlifting about how weightlifting isn't good for weight loss and that I should focus on losing weight before I start weightlifting. And we had this conversation yesterday about how muscle actually helps burn fat. So I'm not good with like lingo and sounding smart, and I know you'll make this sound smart. So please, can you just educate?
Well, it's not even about being. There's so much fitness and weight loss, weight gain, muscle gain advice on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
The internet is a very large pool with lots of comments in it. So, firstly, if weight loss is the goal, at what expense? You can lose a ton of weight and not feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel mentally good, but are you strong? Like, how does your body feel?
Yep.
Something that you expressed is you want to feel strong for your kids and show them that you did this thing, which is a lot of weight loss, but you also want to feel good every day, feel strong, feel capable. That requires muscle.
Yeah.
You're very strong for someone your size because you've been carrying around a lot of weight, so you have super strong legs. That's what I would
push that sled.
Yeah, that pushes that sled. So that's a very gray comment.
Yeah.
But there's scientific proof that I'm not going to come up with all the facts right now. You can just Google it. That the more muscle you have will lead to burning more fat.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, in a good situation, the muscle mass and lean mass increases as the body fat decreases. And the higher percentage of lean body mass you have helps you burn more fat, burn ultimately more calories throughout your day. So that's with that.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about building muscle, you can have conversations about like, you know, we're not trying to max out weight right now. You're doing weight training at something that you can do a fair amount of reps at and keep it repeatable. We're trying to just build a muscular foundation. You're not trying to go and be a power lifter and move all these crazy numbers right now. Yet. That's a long-term goal that we'll get into. So, on the flip side, what would you want to be doing? Just jumping on a treadmill and doing 7-pound weights?
Yeah.
Like, that's not enough stimulus for Caitlyn to feel like work, you know?
If I need to show up 6 days a week, which in my journey right now, I do need to show up 6 days a week.
Yep.
I need, like I said earlier, I need to be having fun.
Yes.
I need to be excited. I look forward now to our strength days and the safety bar and the trap bar and stuff like that. And the other thing too to touch on too is what's big in the weight loss community on Instagram, especially when you are starting around my size, you're going to have a lot of skin. And me and Neil have had this conversation because skin is something that I'm anxious about. But building muscle is going to help with that skin.
Yeah, it won't shrink the skin,
No.
but it will give you an idea of like what's underneath and kind of what your frame is, you know?
Yeah.
So, good stuff.
Weightlifting.
Yeah, weightlifting. And it's not, we don't exclusively do weight training. We have 2 days. Caitlyn does full body workouts 3 days a week.
Yes.
And then because I can't throw her on a bike or a rower yet, I try to come up with creative ways to have her be doing aerobic work a few days a week, where it's not high intensity. It's just steady. Those are your AMRAP 10,
Yep.
or what started at 6 days.
Yep.
So it's well-rounded, you know?
Yeah,
You
we're on an alternating schedule every other day.
And at the end, like, just my personal opinion, you got to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're fat doesn't mean you have to not be strong.
Yeah.
You know, we got to work it.
And you'll be surprised too, like how strong you are when you start new things in the gym. I call it the bro zone, and on Saturdays there's a group of bros in here that look strong AF and are strong AF.
Yeah.
And then we'll be on the turf together because there's 2 lanes on the turf, and I'm pushing the same amount of weight on my sled that they're pushing on their sled, and like we're both taking deep breaths at the end of the trail, and like they're like, damn, like Caitlyn, like you just pushed that, and I'm like, oh, last week I pushed 260 when Mel hopped on, and blah blah blah, and they're like, what? Like, I like that too. Like, I love the
you want
pat on the back that I get when people are like, wait, how much did you push? How much did you squat? Like, you're capable. You're so capable. And I think that's like the thing that's been the most eye-opening to me here.
Yeah, and to touch on the whole weightlifting thing, this kind of
you won't look like a man either. Neil promised me that.
You're not gonna look.
I feel like females are very like hesitant to start weightlifting. You are not gonna go looking like this to looking like a man.
No.
Like
no.
You might have manly hands that will be like calloused and not very pretty. Thanks, Neil.
Sorry.
But I'm not gonna have the body of a man. And
No.
That's
and to look like some of these athletes that you see, like female CrossFit competitors who they have amazing physiques, but they also have a lot of muscle. That's such hard work. And to even see like female competitor bodybuilders, like that takes a lot of effort. You don't get like that by accident.
No.
You do not. It is like guys don't get like that by accident either.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind. And I know with women in general, there's the idea that like, oh, I shouldn't lift that much, or I should lift lighter. This actually loops into another question, so I'm just going to say the question now before we start.
Go ahead.
The question was, for weight loss, do you do more reps, less weight, or
heavier weight?
Yeah, heavier weight, less reps. It depends. So there's this specific stimulus for both. And for women generally, like I hear all the time, like, oh, I could lift this weight. I was just doing 7-pound dumbbells or 10. You're capable. You can do a lot. Upper body generally can be a limiter, but women aren't stuck in that. They can do so much more. And most people are a little bit stronger than they think.
Oh, yeah.
But the conversation about reps, so I would break that down to where are you starting? The it depends thing, you know, are you obese with not a lot of exercise experience? Yes? Cool. Let's start in a place where we're doing a lot more reps that I would put into motor control and just getting used to moving a pattern. Body weight, light reps, things like squatting to a box so you're not feeling like you're gonna fall backwards. You put these certain progressions together because over time, I want you to get a little more weight on, whether it's dumbbells or something.
Yep.
But if you're a beginner, it's not a bad idea to start for more reps, less weight, till you feel comfortable, and then you progress from there.
Which is what we did.
And weight loss isn't going to be defined by how you lift that weight. For me, it would be like, how do you feel performing this movement pattern? How's the movement pattern look? Okay, we've been doing this for 6 weeks. Let's make it a little heavier. Let's see what happens. So that kind of progression. What do you got? Do you have any experience with macros for post-op bariatric? I don't know if I pronounced that right.
I think so.
Patients. So I'm not a doctor, and I haven't had any hands-on experience with that, but I do know that the first 3 to 6 months, there's a very small window of calories that you can eat. and it starts in a very liquid form, and then they build foods in. I would say don't worry about macros at that point. If you got that operation, you have to go through the protocols that your doctor gave you to get through the recovery safely. Because from what I understand, you can rip what they did if you eat too much or eat certain kinds of foods.
Yeah.
I got this question last night. I got a sneak peek, and I did some research, and you don't want to be consuming too much. Again, I'm not a doctor, but it seems like foods that may even take in water that may expand in your stomach after you've consumed it. So follow your doctor and the path that he has you on, and whatever, if you're a year or two out, maybe just start having a conversation about nutrition in general, and to not put on the weight that you lost from that surgery, and start looking at lifestyle changes. Again, macros it's a tool. You can do, there's the if it fits your macros diet, but the quality could be complete shit because it fits your macros. That isn't always awesome. Now we have a conversation about like, well, how's your body digesting it? What's inflammation look like? I would want to have a conversation about lifestyle choices, living with post-surgery life from surgery day to however many years out recovery and then on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
and I know. So I haven't had surgery. That's not the route that I want to go. However, I had looked into it a few years ago, and I know in Massachusetts you need to, in order to get the surgery, insurances in Massachusetts make you connect with a nutritionist, make you connect with a therapist. You have to lose X amount of weight before you can even get the surgery.
Yep.
You have to be cleared by a psychologist and a nutritionist and a doctor. So these are all questions that I would definitely have with your team when it comes to that surgery.
Yeah, if you could find a good trainer, nutritionist, dietitian, like Caitlyn said, if you have your team, have them be linked up in that conversation the whole way. And if it's a personal trainer, hopefully you may need to seek someone out that also has specific nutrition certifications, training, experience, not just someone who works at a gym and is putting you through exercise.
Yeah.
Because you have a deeper situation there.
This is good. I'm liking this. This is fun.
Would you be interested in doing macro counts for people remotely? Yes. There's a deeper conversation here. I could prescribe macros for you, but what's the goal? Where are you starting? What are you going to be doing after that, around that? Is it even working? Does it need adjustments? So yes, I could, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be successful. There's so many factors to that. Like I said, macros is a tool among many things that contribute to success in goals. Weight gain, muscle, weight loss, all these things. So I would say look for coaching, and I do have a service that's nutrition coaching with accountability built in weekly, bi-weekly. There's different ways we can go about it. We would have to have a conversation based on what you're looking for, goals, all that.
And now this first conversation is complimentary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We do.
Sweat.
Yeah, the no sweat intro, which we'll link my gym where we service through our no sweat intro, kind of like intro consultation. Just write us and set up a conversation.
And again, this can be done remotely if you're not in the area.
Yep.
Which I know there's a question on there, where are we located? So this is Treehouse School of Fitness, and it's in Danvers, which is part of the North Shore in Massachusetts.
Yes. Cool. Thank you for the plug.
Of course. And like he said, when this live is over and I save it, as I believe I was told I can save it as an IGTV, and then it will save on my wall. I will link Neil, I will link the gym, and you can feel free to DM either of those accounts.
Yep.
And either Neil or someone will get back to you and put you in connection with Neil.
Yes. What inspired you to become a coach in the hardest part of the job?
I was excited for this one. I got this question yesterday while I was here working out before I left, and I was like, "Oh, Neil, we just got a good question." So, and I'm excited. I want to hear this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep this as brief as possible.
Okay.
So, there's a bunch of factors. Honest starting point was my wife was a member of Treehouse for about a year and a half before I came in. And as you know, nutrition, fitness, CrossFit can be expensive. I knew I needed to make a life change for myself, and I didn't have an awesome job at the time, and it was hard for me to pay for it. So after about 6 or 7 months, I'm like, maybe I can be a trainer to help me get a free gym membership. But the feeling that brought me there came from working with my wife. So hi Lexi, she has some health issues. She has Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disorder. She has celiacs, and she doesn't react well to stress. Oh, and she has hypothyroid. So we've been on a journey together for about 6 years now, where we've been doing an anti-inflammation diet. It's beyond paleo, it's completely grain-free, not because of fat, muscle, anything, it's solely because of how her body reacts. So, going through that with her and then seeing how my life changed in the gym for training, mixed with the little push to be like, I need to keep doing this, but I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. I took a job at Treehouse being an intern, and it completely changed my life. I come from a musical background. I'm a drummer, and I've been playing for 15 years, and it's always been a very self-serving thing, but I loved the craft of learning and digging deep. During my internship, I got that same feeling of diving deep into the science of nutrition, exercise, the psychology of coaching, and that helped me move my life in a positive direction, and I was able to help other people, which was so different from music, which was very self-serving, fulfilling, but the act of being able to help people and change their life meant a lot to me. So that's kind of where the journey started, and it took like the 6-month period to fully realize that, and I was all in. There was no question at that point that this is why I'm doing this, and this is where I want to be. And the hardest part of the job, the funny answer is trying to get people to not believe internet bullshit. There's a lot of bro science on the internet, but there's to aid that. I mean, there's so many different ways to achieve goals and get things done. Mm-hmm. We're all humans, so sometimes, like, if it fits what your narrative is, like, that's going to be an ingrained thing. Yeah. Sometimes that's not always the case. So that's the funny part. But, like, the hardest part of the job in general, I think, is coaching people to be patient. And that's not a negative thing towards a client, but mm-hmm. as humans, that's the hardest part that I'm guilty of myself. With, like, am I qualified enough as a coach? Am I good enough? It's like, yes, be patient. You'll feel that way when you get there. Mm-hmm. We all are very passionate about our goals, and you got to be patient. Things take time. And for people who are really invested in weight loss, even just because of health reasons, it can be very frustrating. So it's not a negative hardest part, it's just the hardest part to get a client to take a breath and see that this is a process. it can take years and decades to get to a point of obesity, or maybe you were that point your whole life, or maybe it's not obesity, maybe it's just unhealthy lifestyle. You can't undo that with 30-day abs or the juice cleanse. It takes time, and I will never put a client in a crash diet scenario. It's low and slow for me, you know, and not everyone wants to hear that.
It just means I get stuck with me longer.
You get stuck with me longer,
so
you know, because I want the progress to be real. I want, in a perfect world, I want you to be and feel capable to take care of things on your own. I don't want you to be, I would love to have you as a client forever, but I would hope that however many years out, you might not need me anymore. You've hit your goals, you know how to eat, you know how to monitor your lifestyle to be like, man, I haven't been sleeping that much and I'm seeing it on the scale. I think I need to dial it in and take inventory. I want you to feel capable of controlling your health without me. Because that means I was successful as a coach to get you to where you need to be.